Ladies and gentlemen, this is my final visit to this location. I either see public records today or we let the courts decide it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Santa Rosa Week.
I'm Deborah Nelson.
And I'm Jerry Cooey, and you're watching us on Channel 27 on Mediacom from 4:30 to 5 every Saturday. Make sure to tell your friends and neighbors. And hey, send out a few emails to all your friends and let us know where we're at. And we're also on YouTube. You'll see our address location on the bottom of the screen. You'll be able to go back and see every single, well, we haven't got all of them on there yet.
Still uploading back issues.
Still uploading back, but you'll be able to go back and look at them at your leisure from any place on the planet.
That's correct. Well, ladies and gentlemen, last week we told you that we had visited Team Santa Rosa and asked them for several items of public information, and we also had a couple of questions for them, and we do have an update on that this week. We visited Team this morning. We met with them.
Yep.
A representative, and we did more or less get what we asked for. We had asked for the check register
for 2 years.
For 2 years, and we asked for previous meeting minutes. We did get the meeting minutes, and we got a report of checks that were written. We didn't actually get the physical register. I think we're comfortable with that at this point.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Certainly, when we add the dollars of the checks for a given year, it will need to equal what they were budgeted.
Approximate.
Get pretty close to their budgeted year.
Now, the second issue was public meetings, because Team holds board meetings and they conduct their administrative business during those board meetings. And those board meetings have not been open to the public. Right. And we went there today and we said those meetings need to be open to the public. There's a lot of money that's being processed through these meetings, and we need to oversee that. And we were told they're not going to be open to the public, so that's still kind of a pending issue.
That's still another issue. And another issue that came up as soon as we walked in the building, we were told that we could not use a camera in the building.
Right.
So the third item of our request is that we'll need in writing, in a building that we, the taxpayers, are paying for, which is a public facility, I'll need in writing why we cannot videotape. Because in a county commission meeting and a planning and zoning board meeting,
right,
and they may change their mind when they have public board meetings and change their mind on the use of a camera. But we've requested that they give that to us in writing. So ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do to start out with is we're going to talk about what the law says regarding Chapter 119 and the Sunshine Laws. Public records when it comes to government, public-private organizations, the Art Council Board, the Dog Catcher Board, the Maritime Park Board, any agency that works, elected or not elected, a formed board that steps into making decisions for government is going to be covered under these laws. So just to Deborah, let's start out with chapter 119, which is the records law.
Let me just say one thing, Jerry. Let's go ahead and just overview. Let's just state the reason that it's important that we have access to public records and that meetings remain open.
Right.
Is because it keeps our government and our quasi-government honest.
Right. Absolutely. You know what we find quite often in one of our previous episodes concerning the Maritime Park Board. You know, it's what you got to remember here, ladies and gentlemen. And look, Deborah and I are out here fighting for you. I mean, I'm fighting for me a little bit too, but we're fighting for you. It's your tax dollars being spent, and the importance of transparency is
and accountability.
And accountability. You know, you need to know. I certainly don't trust government. I have a high level of distrust, especially in the last few days. But it's important that you guys help us to push and make sure that there is transparency and there is accountability. You work very hard for your money, and honest to goodness, I've encountered some agencies that really take it personal and start calling you names just because you expect them to be accountable to the taxpayers. It's like a Martian something, just they're not grasping the concept here.
And I'll say I trust government when government is when I'm monitoring it. Then
Right.
I know that there's oversight. And I know there's checks and balances. And we've been trying for 4 years to get some accountability and some transparency for Team Santa Rosa.
Right.
And we made a visit this morning.
We did. As a follow-up visit.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing, and one other part of the law is, and we'll get a little more specific on that. Chapter 119 says that if an organization falls under the public records law, that a citizen, any citizen, may go into that entity and verbally request to see a document, whatever document they want to see. The law also goes on to say that agency is in violation of the law if they ask you what your name is or why you want to see it.
Right.
The law is very specific in that, ladies and gentlemen. On the sunshine law, that falls into the meeting laws. And what you'll find in the law is that if a entity qualifies as a stepping into the
government,
making government decisions, they are required by the Sunshine Law to have advertised public meetings so that the public can attend. And there's a very good reason for that law. You know what that
oversight is the reason.
It's oversight, absolutely. I mean, you can go in the back room and make any decision you want to. That allows them to go in a private area and make decisions on your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen. This is why this is so important. Your tax dollars being spent with no oversight, and that's where the problem is. And when the law is very clear, you have to have advertised meetings,
open meetings.
Take minutes.
Take minutes. If somebody asks for records, you have to provide them.
Right.
I mean, that's fairly simple. We asked for 2 things from Team Santa Rosa, and you've been trying to get this for 4 years now.
About 4 years. And just to give a little history, over this 4 years, certainly I've learned a lot. I'm certainly not a constitutional scholar or a sunshine law expert, but I have a pretty good grasp of it now.
And it's a matter of Florida law, Florida statute.
And it's a Florida law. And as frustrating as it has been to me, maybe once I technically didn't ask a question correctly, but all of that has in my visit to the State's Attorney's office, and with some guidance from the Attorney General's office, let me assure you, the citizen, that I'm asking the right questions now. This has been going on for about 4 years, which I have come away empty-handed each and every time that I left Team Santa Rosa. And just like I told you last week, I made a promise to you last week I was going to tear that wall down. Well, I'm not going to tell you that the wall is torn all the way down, but I am happy to say that today one of the requests was the check register for the last 2 years.
Now we didn't get the actual physical register. We got a report.
We got a report.